The smile, huh?
Hi everyone, and welcome to this presentation. Before starting, I will ask you to take a time travel machine and go 2 years or 3 years in the future. Once you arrive, it may be possible that you see someone holding a newspaper as this one, where you see that Odoo has actually disrupted the payroll industry. Well, if you were not here today to attend this talk, you may ask yourself the question, like, what did they do to disrupt this market, which seems inaccessible? I mean, what did they put in place as actions to make it possible? If you were not here today, you would maybe be confused or surprised regarding that situation. But luckily, you are here. So thank you for attending this talk, all about payroll situation in Odoo, the talk to be part of the change. If you want to take the first step in that direction, be quick and scan the QR code that is just displayed above us on the screen and prepare your questions while we talk.
All right, let's give them 2 more seconds. I think people are done.
Yeah, let's move on.
So if there is one common aspect between any companies in the world with at least one employee, it's the need to manage payroll. But what is payroll? Payroll is the need of computing and distributing employee salaries with wages, deduction, wages, and many more.
Is this process easy or obvious to be applied?
Now, this process, the payroll process, is very complex and very advanced because it can change from one industry, one market, or one country. So very variable, very advanced because you start from your basic salary, you have a lot of rules to get to your taxable salary and a lot of more rules to get to your net salary, so very advanced as well. That's why it's often a very big cost for organization. You often pay another software that makes you pay by the payslip, sometimes up to 10 euro per payslip per employee per month, so a huge cost for organization. And since it's not the core business of the different organization, it's often something that's externalized.
Indeed.
Welcome to our talk. I'm Pierre Quenen, HR expert, and I'm here with Antoine Rousseau, who is part of the partner advisor team. For the past year, we have been creating this payroll service to really bring shine to this app. So thank you for joining us.
Indeed. Well, I think we are done with the introduction, Pierre, so I propose to move on. Can you tell us what is coming next?
What we want to take you through today is really the payroll dream we have. We have a payroll dream and we want you to join in this dream. As soon as we talk about this exciting news, we will show you how far a configuration can get you in Odoo with DMAR from A to Z. Then we will talk to you about this new payroll service. Who is it for, what are the objectives, and what has been going on already. And finally, the PSFP. So we won't tell you what it is right now. You will have to wait at the end of the talk to see what it represents.
Indeed. All right, so now that we have the agenda, let's move then to the next point. As Pierre said, him and I have a dream. This dream is to be able to build a robust tool. And this tool, you may know it already, it's the payroll application that you can already install in your database. What we want is this tool to be very intuitive and that have a very nice and user-friendly interface that people could easily play with. Because as you may know, payroll officers are not supposed to be IT experts, so they still need to have something very easy to use. This tool would be also integrated with some other apps in the Odoo scope to make things integrated, of course, but as well to prevent some repetitive work from the HR team. Also, by doing it, what we make is that each employee can become an actors of the payroll process by encoding its own data and make sure that everything is up to date. I mean, we are also in Odoo, so this tool would be updated in real time, providing some powerful reporting and follow-up of strategic KPIs. And finally, most of all, it's part of the Odoo scope of the Odoo pricing, so you would need no additional cost to print any more payslips in your company.
So we are not far from reaching this dream, but we are not so close either. We are getting there. You can see Fabien talked about us this morning, about payroll, so you see something that's coming up. But what is Odoo's philosophy about payroll? The philosophy is that it takes a lot of time, resources, and knowledge to develop payroll. So we are focusing on 2 main axes.
Indeed. The first axis is to develop localization. You have heard that this morning also during the keynote. The idea is that, Odoo has some offices located around the world, and there is also some places where the market, I would say, is ready for a solution to be deployed. In that case, we can give a few examples: Kenya, Australia, Luxembourg, but more recently also Switzerland. We have now like an out-of-the-box solution to be deployed in a database. Well, for you it may be a bit strange, or because like for us localization is very obvious, but maybe for those who don't have a clue about localization, Pierre, can you tell us what it is?
Yeah, as you were saying, a localization is an out-of-the-box solution that you can install in your database. It comes on top of the payroll app, and it will change really the payroll app to suit your needs. So it will add, as you can see, new fields such as the employees field, for example, the merit status or stuff like that that you need for your computation of your pay slips. Fields on the contract, for example, the meal voucher are important. So all those computation, your different salary rules to compute your pay slips come in that localization. On top of that, you have also structures. A structure is a way to construct one pay slip. For the ones that are from Belgium, you know that we have different pay slips throughout the years. For example, you have the classical monthly pay slip, but you also have the double holiday pay, the 13 months. And all of those are different computation to create different kind of pay slip. And each of those kind is one structure. So this comes as well in the localization. And on top of that, at the end of the year, you have to submit annual reports. So all of those points are included in the localization. So you add that on top of your payroll app, and you can use this localization for your market.
Okay, so if I understand properly, I'm an Odoo user. I can just connect to my database, go in the apps, select my module, and just install it straight ahead without asking any questions?
Well, you'd better not, because indeed you can install it and do all this stuff, but Odoo provides a tool, not an expertise. So it's very important that you know what you're doing, like you would for accounting. You have to know if the pay slips you generate are correct. It's important to do a parallel run maybe with another software to compare the results you get. And like any other application, it needs to be tested and validated.
Yes, that's very important. The second aspect, the second axis that we are working on is the improvement of the product to ease custom implementations, but also just to ease the experience that end users have when they start using the payroll application. For that, we have worked on many different project implementation with the payroll app, but as this is the case also for some of our colleagues that work on that in some other countries or for some partners, all of those feedback that we receive have allowed us to, let's say, bring new features to the Odoo app. And I think, Pierre, you have something to tell us about this.
Yes, that's true. That's not the only talk we have. That's a good time to do some product placements. We have a talk tomorrow at 5 for the bravest. You will see all the amazing new features we have for payroll. So it's a bit more technical, but a lot of great stuff to see tomorrow at 5.
All right. Well, I think we have talked enough. It's maybe a bit time to go to the practice. Yeah. So let's do a demo now from let's say a workflow of payroll in an Odoo 18 database. For that, we'll just play a role. The idea is that Pierre is now a HR officer of a company. He wants to recruit a new talent in his team for the role of payroll officer. And I will be the applicant who dreams, of course, to be that talent that is recruited in the company. And so for that, let's just jump now in an Odoo 18 database and start the flow.
All right, so we want to show you the full flow because payroll is integrated with a lot of other apps. And when I'm starting and I notice I have a need because the company is going for a new payroll officer, I'm going to start by creating my new job position in recruitment. So I go in my recruitment application. I see all of the job positions that are open or not. If you want to learn all the new features about recruitment or HR in general, we have a full HR day tomorrow. Feel free to join us. But for now, I'm just going to create the new job position. I'm looking for a payroll officer. And just like so, I have my new need that is created. Here, I'm going to keep the standard stages. So let me jump out of here. And I can see my offer is there, ready to be published. I'm recruiting only for one person, so no need to change anything. And I can publish my job position. So since Odoo is integrated and the recruitment with the website, I didn't have to do anything else to have my web page published on my website. So now Antoine can connect to our website and see the job position published.
Indeed. So as I told you, I'm looking for my dream job, and so I went on a lot of different websites or LinkedIn. Well, nothing was really convenient, or at least was really attracting to me. But now I arrived at this very beautiful website where I directly see, like, of course, a job title, as well as the description and the skills that are expected for that job. But I also expect my company to have a very nice atmosphere and maybe a bit more to offer than just some per offices stuff to do. And so if I go down, like, I can see a bit more, regarding what is great in that job and what are the offers of the company. Well, I see also like a few pictures about the atmosphere. Well, it seems great. So let's apply now for that job.
So what you see here is that it's very easy to apply. And soon you will see the link between recruitment and payroll, because when we create the new offer, you will see how dependent it is to payroll as soon as Antoine has applied for the job. You can see we have very few questions because we want it to be very easy in Odoo.
And once I'm done, I just need to click on I'm feeling lucky in that case, and I get the confirmation that, okay, my application has been posted successfully, and so I can just wait for Pierre to read it and tell me what are the next steps.
Yeah, I'm the HR officer. I'm managing other stuff such as the contracts or the time off, but I can see in my recruitment application that I have a new application now. I click on it and I see Antoine in my new stage. I'm gonna skip all the stages for now. We are not doing a recruitment, but the last stage of the recruitment process is to generate the offer. So I'm gonna generate the offer. We have negotiated, and he's a pretty good negotiator, so we agreed on 75,000, right?
Yeah, 75, yeah, it's okay.
All right, so 75,000. This is the employer budget. So not the net, not the wage. It's really what we fix, and then all the benefits will configure my salary for my needs. If I want more time off, I'm gonna be paid a bit less, but I can take more holidays. I can really adapt it, and it's very important for the employee to be agile, and you really adapt to each employee. So I've created my offer very easily, and I'm gonna send it by email to Antoine. Email template that is done by default, I can just send, and in the configure your package is the following link. What happens when I click on it, when Antoine clicks on it from his email address?
Indeed, so from my point of view, everything is very smooth. I just go through all the different steps, and I receive an email giving me the access now to this salary configurator page. And here, indeed, I can make the choice regarding what I want to choose as benefits in my contract, but as well, at the same time, having a look at, let's say, my net salary, or at least what is expected to be my net salary once I will be joining the company. You see that for now, I am around 2,700 euros. So, but I have already a phone subscription, so I don't need to add it here in my contract. But I think time off is important, and I already expect to have a few more time off during the year, so I choose to take the maximum number of extra time off in the contract. You can see in real time that now my net salary has changed. Of course, it has decreased accordingly to the different benefits that I chose. If I'm a bit curious, or at least I want things to be very transparent, I could decide to have access here to the details and see how my salary computation is performed. I have a look very easy to both my benefits, my allowances, but also my deductions. And indeed, here everything seems clear. I'm also a payroll officer, so for me, I know it's correct. But yes. Then afterwards, I can simply go down in my salary configurator and starting completing my personal information.
So what you were able to see is that all these resume parts where you see the computation is thanks to the localization, because the localization provides the computation from the wage to the net based on the different benefits chosen. So it's really linked to payroll, and we can't stress enough how now recruitment is very competitive. It's very hard to get new talent, and so for them to know and to choose their benefits like this so easily is very powerful and great to have payroll involved as soon as you recruit your employees.
Indeed, and that's something that we have also internally at Odoo. All of the employees of Odoo that you can meet today at the event, have went through that process of having the salary configurator, and I think all of us found it quite exciting when we just joined the company. All right, I filled all of my information now, so what I can do is to click on Review My Contract and Sign to be brought directly actually to the PDF of my contract. So here, what is important for me is to read it, to read my contract. But what is really not important, or what has less added value, is to fill all of my information a second time. I mean, I already did it in the previous screen. And as you can see, indeed, Odoo is properly set up here because all of my information are directly retrieved from what I have already encoded in my salary configurator. Well, it's quite easy now. I can just click to start and fill all of the different fields that are still needed to be filled. And if I go now on the last step, I can add my signature. Here I could decide to draw my own or to load my own, but I could also decide to use the one that is proposed by Odoo. And finally, to add the last date. Once it is done, Odoo tells me, okay, now you can validate and send the completed document to Pierre to see, of course, if he agrees with the current contract.
So yeah, I'm working on other stuff. All the other stuff I'm supposed to do as the HR officer. You will see all the activities I have. I have a lot of workload, so you can see now I have 39 activities late. So a lot on the contract and everything else, but I can also see the new signature request. So this is the one that Antoine signed, and I can do the countersigns very easily. It was a great experience for the user, but also a great experience and a lot of time saved for me. I can just click on it to see if Antoine did everything correctly. Okay, everything seems good. I'm gonna countersign here. I could have other signatories, but here only me and Antoine is sufficient. I will validate this document, and now just by doing so, I will already have an employee in my database with the information he encoded himself. Right before, what you could have is sometimes you have to encode your employee's data in one software, two, sometimes three. Here, I didn't have to do it for even one. The employee did it himself, and now in the employee application, I can find Antoine. I can see all the private information he encoded, and then I can go to the next most important step. What is the most important step, Antoine, when you have someone joining in the company?
Well, in my opinion, the first thing to do when you join a company is to take a few times off.
Okay, it might be important for you, but I'm thinking a bit more practical when you join a new company.
Okay, I know. Maybe I need to have access to database. I mean, to use Odoo.
Yeah.
All right.
When you get to a new company, you need to use Odoo. Of course, who doesn't? So now I'm gonna give him his access rights. I'm gonna create. I already created the user for Antoine with the right access right to the HR apps. Just so it's good, so I can verify his contract as well. Okay, I'm gonna give you your time off. Please chill out. I can see on your contract that I'm putting on the running that you ask for the maximum. Okay, Antoine, you like those time off. Let's assign you those 15 days off. I go to the time off application. I'm gonna do some allocation. And now I will do the one for the paid time off. So for the rest of the year, I think it's 6 days left that you can use until December. And especially the extra time off that you choose in your salary configurator. I think I just did it for myself.
Yeah, I think you assigned the paid time off for yourself.
Yeah, let's duplicate and do it for you, sorry. That's it,
Thank
regular paid, that's it, I can approve. And now let's do a new one for the extra time off. So again, for your user, extra legal time off, 15 days, and those won't ever end date because you don't have to use all of them this year, okay? I can approve directly the allocation. And now with his user, Antoine can connect, manage all his application, and go his own sum of allocated time off in the time off application.
Yes, indeed. I think you have worked enough. Like it's maybe time for me also to be part of that company and make sure that everything goes well regarding the HR and the payroll workflow. So here, I mean, to connect it's quite easy. I can simply log out then from the account of Pierre and use mine. And once I do so, I just connect now with my account to the database. So of course I have access now to my own access rights and then to my own modules. But what I can do also, you know, that's something that I told you at the beginning. The idea is to make sure that the employees are proactive, as they're going to update their own information by themselves. By doing so, by giving the access to a user, that's exactly what happens. Here, if I click simply on my name, on my name here at the top, and go to my profile, I will have access to all of the relevant information regarding my user account, but also my employee profile. for example, here in the private information, I'm now able, for example, to update my address if I ever change my home, or if I change my phone number, for example, as well. So all of this can be done by the employee himself. I don't need to contact Pierre again to tell him, okay, be careful, I changed my phone number recently, and you need to do it by yourself. So once again, it's very convenient. But as well, I mean, here, from the same screen, I can directly see that I have 21 days remaining in my time off. Very nice. And so, you know what, like, those are the Odoo experience. I guess I will be quite exhausted next week.
Already.
Yeah, I mean, it has been 15 minutes I am in this company, but
You do you, Antoine.
I would like to take maybe a few time off next week. So let's do it. And yes, I will do it maybe the full week, like this. So 5 days of paid time off. I save it, and I see in real time, of course, that my number of paid time off allocation has been decreased.
Yeah, I could validate those time off from here as an HR officer, but here I'm trying to work a bit less, and so I'm giving this responsibility to Antoine. And actually, Antoine is working more from the payroll application. So you can really see how time off is linked to payroll, and Antoine will do this actual approval from the payroll application.
Indeed, because you know, for now we discussed about recruitment, we discussed about employees' time off, but we never went actually to the payroll application itself. But of course, that's where everything becomes connected and integrated, as I said also at the beginning. So that's all of this that we did is actually part of the payroll process in a way. What we'll do now is that we'll go indeed to the payroll application, but not only. We'll go actually to the work entries. The work entries, if you ask yourself what it is, let's say it's a summary of all the activities of your employees during the month or for a certain period of time. Whether it is like an attendance or a time off, or let's say an unpaid time off, or let's imagine that your employees can record some extra hours. This is also where it will happen. It will appear. So now I go to my payroll application and go straight away to my work entries. Here what I see is that I have a conflict in my work entries. Indeed, I have both at the same time an attendance that is expected by myself as an employee, but at the same time I also recorded a time off that has not been approved yet. So, you know, Odoo needs to clarify what is the situation I will be for that period of time. And for that, from that interface as a payroll officer, I can still decide here to edit the conflicting work entries and decide, how it should be solved. Like, should I refuse the time off or approve the time off? I think I deserve to have some time off, so I will do it. And once it is done, you will see that the conflict has been removed. And now, if I then remove the filter as well, I will just take a look at all of my employees that are part of the company for now with a running contract. And I will see that in my case, I have some different colors in my work entries because those are paid time off and not attendance as it should be in a normal situation. Well, now it's time for me to do my job, and my job is actually to generate the payslip and make sure that everything is correct. So let's do it. I simply click on the button, and right away, Odoo is going to create a batch of payslip for the current month, here in October. And what I can see here with the smart button are the 6 payslips for my employees that are automatically computed. There is mine here that I can access, and I can see, for example, here that I have, it says a summary of all the work days that I took for that period of time, and I can also have a look at the salary computation here with all of the lines that are displayed. Okay, so this is my basic salary. Pierre, pay attention. I think your choice is not, okay. Don't pay attention, okay, I'm just fixing it because I think we have a small miss here in the settings. Yeah, this should be, I think, my basic salary. All right, Pierre says you can come back. I think it's your turn now.
Did I miss anything?
No, you didn't miss anything.
Okay.
No, you can just confirm the payslip, it's okay.
So as I told you, tomorrow is the great talk about the new features, so you will learn a lot about payroll. Antoine, you should follow it because you will learn a lot as the new payroll officer. One of the features of payroll that's great is that you can just click on compute sheet. It takes all the information from your contract. You can see everything is correct. No risk to do any human error, of course.
That's really nice, indeed.
And so I don't know if you knew about this configuration.
I didn't know, but yeah, that's a really nice feature.
Great, right? I bet. So now I'm gonna finish my batch. So everything seems correct. I'm gonna go back to the batch and finalize it. So I can create the draft entry. I can see that my draft entry will be linked to my accounting. So if I want to verify it, I can check it here. It's in draft mode, so I can change anything and later on post it. But this is more about the full flow, payment flow that we will see tomorrow at our talk. Already like that, now my part is done. Every employee from the batch is going to receive their payslip on their own document application. And since Antoine is one of them, can you show us the payslip you received?
Indeed. You know, like it could be a nightmare also for, let's say, HR officer in a big company to send each of the payslip to each different employees. So that part is completely automated in Odoo as well. I mean, if I had my phone here, I could show you like the email that I received telling me that I have now a payslip available in the document application. Because of course, as you may guess, like not all of the users have access to the payroll app, but all of them have access to their own documents. And so here, if I go now to my document application, I am able to have access now to my payslip for October that is automatically added to my documents. So very convenient as well. And I mean, from the start then to the end, both for Pierre and I, all the flow was very smooth, and I think also a very nice experience that we could have. All right. What you may think is that, okay, that's really nice what you showed us, but isn't it like too good to be true? Well, it's not. Of course, here what we showed was based on a very mature localization. It's one from Belgium, it's one that we use internally at Odoo. I mean, we tested a lot for lots of months and years now, but so you could ask yourself, okay, that's good, but what if I am in another country? What if I am in a country where I don't have any localization available? Can I still use payroll or not? If you ask yourself that question, be reassured, you are not the only one who asked that question. Actually, I'm part of the service for partner teams. I work with partners for 2 years now. And what I experienced is that now, in 2024, the number of partner requests that we receive that were about the payroll application increased a lot. Like if we make the sum already when we are only like in October, we can see that the amount of requests is equal to the sum of all the requests from the last 3 years. And I mean, all of this made us think about the solution that Pierre is going to present to you today.
So that was when we realized it would make sense to actually talk a bit more about payroll. And that's why we thought about really this new payroll service. And so what is this service about? Well, the first thing is that we noticed that people don't know much about payroll, and so we wanted to train them. The first person we wanted to train were the consultants from our offices and also the different partners. That's why we created a brand new Payroll Smart class. It's a 10-hour training with an Odoo Payroll expert. You will have 3 exercise sessions and 3 theoretical sessions, both functional and technical. So you learn about payroll, but also payroll in Odoo. It's across the Odoo app, so it's 3 full modules. In the first one, you learn how to qualify your payroll projects. What's the best solution to propose? Do I have a localization or not? Do I customize? Do I import, export my data? In the second one, you go in depth into the payroll application, learn all the workflows, all about the app itself. And in the third module, you really learn how it integrates with the other apps like we've seen, time off, salary configurator, expense, accounting, and many more. This has been available since June 2024, yes. I can see some that followed it here, so feel free to join in as well. And yes, that's a very cool smart class, and I recommend any of you to follow it.
At that moment, you could think, okay, you propose a new course. I mean, it's just available for a few months. How can we have the guarantee that this course is, let's say, relevant, and that it could use you as a partner to use that application and to understand how to implement it? If it is your question, I mean, it's a nice question to ask. But what you can show you, maybe actually, Pierre, you can do it.
Yeah, it's a very good question that if you ask yourself that. Well, we have proof. If you look at this graph, this is a graph of the smart class sold for this year. And as you can see, we are in the 3rd position. We are still got beaten by accounting and inventory smart classes. But remember, we are just since June. So we still have a few months to beat them. And now it's just the start. We are aiming to the moon. And also, I think you should hurry up because we're only 2 giving it right now. And it might be almost sold out. So reach out to your partner manager for the partner, maybe to your team leader if you're a consultant from another office and you want to develop payroll in your own office.
Indeed. So as we said, we gave it like both internally to the other offices, but also to some partners around the world. Here are the different countries that receive the smart class for now. So what we can see first is Belgium, USA, and Kenya, where we have some Odoo offices. And yes, this is where we gave the smart class, of course, to train the consultants. We can also find here on the list Switzerland, which has no unavailable localization. So the idea was, of course, to train them on about how to use it and understand how it works. But we have also some very specific use case, as one from RDC or Czech Republic, where the idea was not, of course, to create or to use an available localization, but to start from scratch, to understand how to customize the app and create some very, let's say, custom projects for their own customers. I mean, that's not where we want to stop. Of course, we have a lot more of ideas where to give it, and also new partners that are willing to receive it. Here we can see like Australia, Hong Kong, UAE. We also have a Guinea smart class that has now been sold. So you see like it's really evolving a lot, especially in the last few weeks.
So those are for the consultant and the partners.
Yes, I think we are still missing maybe one part, of course, of the scope of that app, which are the end users.
Exactly. Who uses payroll? Payroll is different from the other application because payroll, as we said at the very beginning, is often externalized. So it's often a fiduciary that's going to do your payroll, an external accountant. It sometimes be in Belgium a social secretary, or if you have a bigger company, your payroll department. But those are payroll experts. They're not Odoo experts. That's why we created a full day training. It's actually an Odoo Academy. Odoo Academy are not a new thing, but for payroll it is, and it's more relevant than ever, because those people will follow from the full day training how to configure your employee, configure your insurances, your contracts, to be able at the end of the day to generate your payslip, your annual reports, and even do some reporting and some strategic KPIs about your payroll.
Pierre, sorry to interrupt you, but okay, let's imagine I am a payroll officer. I'm willing to learn about how to use Odoo, but I'm located in a country where I don't have any localization at all. Can I still have access to this kind of course and learn about how to use the app?
It's a very good question, because you have to understand that the smart class helps you really understand the technical and to develop it yourself, your database. In this case, we target people that don't know about Odoo and they really need an out-of-the-box solution. So the country where we have a mature localization. That's why we have given these Odoo Academies in Switzerland, and we are going to give it in Luxembourg, in Switzerland again next year. And now we are training also consultants from other offices, so they will be able to give it in Kenya, Australia, where it matters.
All right, so we discussed about consultants, partners, end users. Are we still missing something or not?
I think we're missing the one that actually sell those packs.
Indeed, regarding the sales. I mean, you can be the best consultant in the world, you can have the best knowledge, you can have the best tool. If you don't go in the right direction, I mean, you will probably fail the project at the end. So here it's very important also, as you think, to give the right tools to the salesperson to make a proper analysis and a proper training, and also qualification of the needs of the client. For that, we have built a list of qualification questions along with all the different departments in Odoo and all the other offices. Also with some information about why do we ask those questions. What is the purpose of telling them? Of course, for example, do you have some legal reports to display in your country, or to provide on a regular basis to your administration in your country? The idea is for the salesperson to understand, okay, I know what I have to ask this question, and I know why I have to ask this question also to my prospects or clients. So that's the first step. We also want to train them on the tool. Of course, not to make them payroll experts, it's not the purpose of their job, but at least to be able to prepare and present the right demo to the client, and also be able to answer questions that you could receive from prospects or clients at the end. Well, it makes a lot of energy, a lot of feedback that we may receive then from the sales partners, the end users. What should we do then with all of this feedback?
Yeah, of course, we haven't talked about the pillar of the payroll application. It's actually the R&D. And you can see another graph. All those graphs we actually get from our own database, odoo.com. And another one we have is all the tasks created in the HR R&D project. And all of those are the payroll one. So you can see how it's being increased since the past year. So in 2022, it was around 200. Same in 2023. And already in October 2024, we are almost at 300. So it's really a trending topic. It's really a new focus, and it's really time to join in. Of course, we are only the two of us here today, but there is a full ant colony behind us. We are the two faces here, but there is all the R&D behind us. Some honorable mention are Jürgen that created the Swiss localization. We have Lionel that is the head of Australia that really worked on the Australian localization. And of course, how can we miss him? Geoffrey, who is our dear product owner and product owner of HR and payroll, who is hands-on on all those localization, all those new features about payroll. So already, thanks, we have a lot of other people to mention, the HR team and other consultants, other offices. Thank you already for being part of this big team. Just to tell you that there is movement and it's time to join in.
Indeed. Well, I think you understood. I mean, that the payroll service is something that is now becoming bigger and bigger. So maybe now it's time to conclude this talk and tell you what is hidden actually behind this PSFP that you mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, so what do we mean by PSFP? Actually, you saw today that we are not here to just provide a smart class, an Odoo Academy. We are really here to develop payroll. We really want to bring shine to this app, a new shine that it deserves, and I think it's going to be the next big thing. The first time we see it at the keynote of Fabien, let's see if next year we are not going to replace Renan at the main stage. So this PSFP is actually for payroll service for people, because everybody has a part to take into it, and all of you can join in.
Indeed, because I mean, you have all of, by what you are doing in the Odoo community, have a role in that process. Like if you are an end user, if you are a consultant, a partner, you are in the first line to understand how to use the tool, how to implement it, how to customize it maybe. And I mean, you will probably meet like a lot of different markets, a lot of different actors of the sector that could provide, I mean, some knowledge and some, let's say, functional feedback about how to improve the tool. And so by providing this feedback, you can make sure that the tool is getting improved year after year. And you could also, for example, decide to create your own localization and contribute to the knowledge of the community.
So what we mean is that all of this starts today, and you can become pioneers by joining us in this fast-growing train. Thank you for listening to us. Feel free to reach out the pad right here. And I don't know if you already have some question, Emily?
Yes, I do. Thank you guys, it was a very interesting talk. I hope you will have a lot of success in this new project. We already have some questions. First question, is Odoo integrated with social secretaries like Acerta or Groupes?
Well, maybe I can answer that first question. Well, what we mean by integration is the idea that we can start the workflow of the payroll in Odoo, but then at some step you just end it and you export the information from Odoo to another, let's say, software, or here in that case another social secretary platform to, let's say, generate the payslip and end the workflow of payroll. If we take a look here at the database, you will see that you have actually in Odoo for the Belgian localization a few secretaries that are available for export of work entries. So it's a case for SDWorks, Groupes, Partner and UCM, so not Acerta in that case. Yeah, so maybe you want to add something?
So this is actually a tool we provide. So now we have a few names, but we actually created a tool so other company can join in and we can ease then the transfer of data. So it means that if another company, for example, in France also provides payslip for this employee, we now have the tool that we can populate to generate the exporting file, which will include all the work entries to actually generate your payslips.
Indeed, so that's the idea that we are doing now for Belgium, but it could be reproduced, as you said, like in different countries, in France, for example, or in different countries where this kind of process would make sense.
We have a big talk about that on Friday, so it's Quentin giving this talk. It's a talk between Odoo and Groupes, where you can really see that specific flow in details.
Yeah.
Join in Friday afternoon.
I think it's at noon, or yeah. Okay, thank you guys. Another question is, can you help us build our own localization?
Yeah, of course. So the first thing is, that's the first one, the first step to take is to start about that. And we actually develop localization. So, for example, I recognize some people on the, in the public that follow the Smartcast already and working on their own localization. Also, we have a developing team inside, and when you give us the right documentation, with documentation to legal requirements and really explain the computation. We develop this localization to have it standard, to have it maintained then year after year, and that's what we're aiming to do, have more and more localization. So if you have proposition and you have something that you see have a lot of requests, feel free to join us or to contact our product owner to start a collaboration.
Indeed, that's I would say the first possibility. The second one could be that you are partners and you want to create your own localization and sell it in your market, which would make, of course, a lot of sense. In that case, we can still help you to do that. The first step, I think, is to follow the smart class, but then you need to have a follow-up about how to create it. So of course we will not develop it for you in that case, but we can still help you and give you some insights about how do it internally. I mean, we have a lot of experience now then regarding a few different countries. So indeed, if you have the knowledge, if you have the will to do your own localization, we could probably help you doing so. I mean, as a follow-up of the smart class as well.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, it's more related to the Belgian payroll, is the CP 306 integrated in Odoo?
No, so when we talk about the Belgian localization, you know Belgium is very specific. That's why we are one of the only pay with social secretary, is because we only have the CP200. It's one of the major ones in Belgium, but it's also because that's the one we have internally. All the employees of Belgium are part of the CP200. But if you have the knowledge and you want to develop this localization, that's another one that could be developed. We can compare how far it is from the CP200, and why not in the next year have it proposed as well if it's being developed by our own department team.
Indeed.
Development team.
Actually, I have an experience that is quite similar to that one. It was the CP 339 in that case, but one of my clients who decided to create like their own localization in Odoo for, let's say, that CP, and they just succeed to do so. Well, at least they are testing it and making a double run, but it seems to be fine. And you know, like it's still possible to do it. So, but I mean, you need to have the knowledge. In that case, they have the knowledge about how to do the computation. But if you take that responsibility, both to create it and maintain it in the future, of course, that's something that you can do.
Okay, we had kind of the same question regarding the other commission paritaire that could be developed, so you just answered. We have a longer question here. I will try to resume it. So this person is asking if some of your employee has a change. For instance, he becomes parents in between, like in the middle of the month, and you are computing the salaries, for example, of October in November, and that as from the 15th of October he became parent. Then you know that, for instance, in Belgium, when you become parent, you pay less. You might pay less taxes. So does it mean that Odoo will automatically take into account this modification in the computation of the taxes, or how will you handle this kind of cases if the employee is changing by himself the information about his kids?
Yeah.
It was quite long.
Well, I think
well.
indeed what's important, you can complete afterwards if I'm a bit wrong, but what's important are the information that are in Odoo at the moment you click on generate the payslip. Okay, so if you say that you have one child at the moment, that information that is important. So Odoo will not know. I mean, I don't know for that specific use case, but in general, it will not know when you did that change and make a prorata regarding that change across the month. So in that situation, one of the practice that you can do is a bit what we quickly show actually when we show the payslip, is to decide. Let's take one that is maybe actually they are all done, but it's to decide to use a small tip that we have here to edit the payslip line. And well, you know, this kind of situation is quite rare. It will happen like maybe a few times during the year. You do the computation on the side, you get the right amount, and then you adapt the computation in Odoo to get the right computation by the end. But that's something I think that is done also internally at Odoo by the HR team, to this kind of computation that are a bit exceptional outside of Odoo, and then to integrate it in Odoo afterwards.
Nothing to add. That was
perfect.
You showed us the salary configurator and how the employee can see it, but how can you customize the information that the employee is seeing on the salary configurator?
So those are the benefits, and you can see the salary configurator as three parts. You have the benefit part where you really choose your benefits, and this will modify the resume you see on the right. So we can see that actually you can show us it's on the right, the salary configurator. And the third part is the personal information. So you can customize the monthly benefits you see here, the impact on the right as well, and the bottom part as well. So maybe if you can show on the back end how to modify those while you go in the payroll application, and in the configuration you can see at the bottom salary packet configurator, where you can modify the benefits, the personal information, and the resume. So like if you go into one of the benefits, for example the extra time off, see there, and here you can see how it's gonna be computed. So you can see the benefit field, the benefit type, and then the link with the salary configurator. So below is all, you can see why it's a slider in the salary configurator, why it comes from 0 to 15. So really this page makes it possible for you to modify the benefit you will have in your salary configurator.
But just maybe to add one more information about that, is that to be completely transparent, if you want to create new benefits, that are, let's say, very specific to one market, one industry, it might involve at some point a bit of customization. Either just like a field creation in Odoo on the contract with Studio, for example, or let's say a bit more if you want to, let's say, integrate a bit more of logic of computation. So you might use a development at that moment. But it's important to understand that, okay, the salary configurator is standard, but if you want to deeply customize it, you might need at some point to do a bit of customization to make it properly suited, of course, to your needs.
Yeah, and also to adapt the salary rules to be linked to these new benefits.
Indeed, yeah.
Okay. Another question related to the salary configurator. Is it possible for an employee to change his options in the salary configurator during the year? Like when he receives the link, what happens after?
So actually what we do at Odoo and what happens for us is that it's not during the year, but each year we get a new salary configurator. And so we will have a new employer budget, and based on that budget you can change your advantages. But of course, if you change all of that, you are creating a new contract. So if you want to change during the year or after your appraisal, for example, you have to create a new offer with a new contract you're going to sign. And at this moment, you can choose your different benefits and have a new contract adapted to your needs at that time. If you want maybe more time off because your family is growing, a bigger car that you can choose also on the salary configurator, you can do that when we send you a new salary configurator.
Yes, so I would say it depends then on your policy in your company. Like there is no rule in Odoo. You could do it whenever you want, basically, by clicking on generate an offer. But I think then, yes, it depends if you want to do it on a yearly basis or on a monthly basis. It would be a bit strange, but yeah, that depends on what you want to do.
You showed us the flow starting from recruitment, then employee contract and salary configuration to the end of the process, which was computing the payslips. But someone is asking, can I just enter a payroll application and add a payslip manually? So can you start like the computation? If I understand well, the computation can start directly in the payroll app, right?
You don't need to start from the recruitment application at all. The only thing you need to create your payslip is at least your employees, the contract of your employees, of course, to define the wage. And just with those two, you then can go to the work entries, to the payroll application to generate your payslips. So that's the only two things you need. You could implement payroll if you want as well for your employees to manage the right work entries. But just with that, you can then create your payslip in the app.
Okay. How do you generate the closing documents such as C4, vacation attest, and so on?
Well, once again, it depends a bit, of course, on your localization. But in that case, for example, for Belgium, this kind of reports can be accessed here in a specific, let's say, section for Belgium, where you can see all of the specific, of course, documents that you send to the administration and so on. And then, I mean, that's where you can do it. For example, for the holiday attest, that's where you can select which employee is supposed to be tackled in that situation. Yes, but of course you need to make sure that this employee has left the company, but just to give you the ID, I mean, you can do it per localization in that report, but then it depends on your localization. So giving you here's the example of Belgium, but you could find something else for Switzerland, for example, or for Luxembourg.
Yeah, and that's the case where we have a different structure for having for example, the termination payslip in Belgium. If I look at the different structure, you can see we have 8 of them. And one of them is the specific payslip you get when you leave the company. And this one is already proposed and computed in your localization.
Yeah.
Okay, quite clear, thank you. Does Odoo have direct links with tax and social security authorities with all countries in Europe. Also, for instance, with some pension funds in different countries. So is there a direct link between Odoo and the official?
Well-
No, we don't.
No, yes, I would say no.
We don't, especially in Belgium, for example, where we have a localization, we create the different entries to know how much you have to pay to the ONSS for your précompte professionnel. But for some countries, for example, where we have localization coming up, for example, Switzerland, we will have a link to the government to pay those automatically. But it's not a generic link that will work for different markets and different countries. It will every time be dependent on your localization and what has been developed in your localization. But one of the examples of it being available is for the Swiss localization, where you really can send transaction to the government thanks to the Swiss certification we are working on right now.
Okay. Let me check. Any news about German payroll? We had the question today quite a lot.
German payroll?
Yes.
So good news for you, because we talked about with the product owner, and it's one of the next localization we are focused on. I know the developer team is really finalizing the Swiss one, and then one of the big next localization we want to get to is the German one. So you still have to be a little patient, but next year we are working a lot on that. I can't tell you when it's going to be done, but feel free to ask us all the time when we advance on it, because we will be really working on it a lot during the year 2025.
As a partner, I want to recommend the Smart Class. Is it really good? I think you answered this question, but it's the occasion to show again maybe the success of this new Smart Class.
If you really want to understand payroll and you don't have knowledge, it's very interesting for you. If you're in a country that has a localization, it's very interesting because you see how to install your localization. If you're in a country where there is no localization coming up, well, it's a way to push to the R&D for us to make it, or for you to create yourself. So I think there is a lot of use case where the Smart Class is very interesting for you.
Okay. Just another question, like the one regarding the employee who becomes parent in the middle of the month. This person is also asking if the employee changed by himself the information, the payroll officer might not even know it. I think there is a solution for that, no?
Yeah, it's true that I think it's once again a question of process. How do you organize your company? Not this idea that we discussed about letting the employee edit his own personal information. I cannot see it from here, but it's a setting actually that you can activate in a database. Well, in that case, if you decide to activate it and make the employee proactive, you probably need at the same moment to make sure that the communication is properly done and to tell them, okay, you can still edit the information, but if that's something that is important, maybe you can have a list of what is important. Please just mention the payroll official that this change has occurred. You know, so that's, I think, something to decide. Like, or if it's something that is not, that you would not like to happen, you don't check that box, and then you have to edit them by yourself.
Yeah, but even on top of that, this allows you to edit, and when employee actually edit the information, there is a notification to the HR officer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is covered.
Okay, perfect. So it fixes everything. Okay, yeah, we have a few more time. Just there is quite a long question regarding the link between a partner and an employee. I maybe suggest for that person to come to the booth because it's not really clear. So I invite you to come to the booth at the end.
Any more questions? Because I think we're gonna soon start the next one. We have only 2 minutes left. Feel free to join us at the booth. We are gonna be at the payroll booth and the HR booth. Feel free to join us there if you have any more questions, even to chat a bit. If you have some question about any localization, we can answer it there. So
maybe just, sorry to interrupt, but the last question, how can you access the Smart Class? How can you get the...
Good question to end.
Indeed, yeah.
You can answer.
If you want to follow the Smart Class as a partner, you can just contact your partner manager at Odoo and ask him, you know, if you want to access it. The only condition is that you need to have at least 10 hours on a success pack that you have, you know, with Odoo for you to access the course. But then, of course, once the course is over, you can still access the content on the e-learning, okay, so it's not expired afterwards. But yeah, you need to access it, agree, of course, to follow it with one of the experts that we have internally.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
But then we.
I maybe one more thing to add. It's out of the scope of this talk, but I have one message to give to someone that is very important to me today. I wish a happy birthday to my mom. Bon anniversaire, maman. She's listening to me, so thank you very much.
Odoo XP is also for that. Thank you guys, and we meet tomorrow again for what's new in payroll then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.